The Stolen Backpack. My name is Alex McGowan, and I grew up in a small town in Oregon known as Woodburn. The following event occurred when I was 11 years old. I'm now in my 30s, but I'm still able to recall the whole thing as if it had happened yesterday. I believe situations like that have a way of embroidering themselves into your brain. It was an early autumn day in October when I was walking home from school with my friends Jack and Kyle. We had stopped at the small village market, and I so vividly remember how we were giving Kyle hell for eating some kind of sour candy and washing it down with vanilla Coca-Cola. There was just something about that combination that made Jack and I cringe. Kyle would often do that sort of thing, and I always imagined the inside of his mouth getting all torn up from that overly sweet and sour combo. The three of us became good friends because all of our houses were located on the outskirts of town. Kyle and I lived on the same street, and Jack's house was only a few streets over. We lived in a heavily wooded area, especially me. My home sat on a cul-de-sac nestled right by many acres of dense forest. Suddenly, Jack started shouting from only a few feet behind me. When I turned around, my eyes immediately fixated on the massive figure. The hairy thing had grabbed Jack's backpack and was seemingly trying to rip it open to extract the contents. Panicking, Jack squirmed around, attempting to free himself from his bag, but the straps were much tighter around his shoulders due to the tugging from the hairy creature. I already knew what we were looking at. It was a Sasquatch. Even though it didn't look exactly how I would have imagined, what else could it have been? It possessed exceptionally long arms, and it was extremely barrel-chested, matching a variety of reports I had already heard of. Without any help from us, Jack eventually freed himself from his backpack, and the three of us started running up the street. As we turned around the L-shaped bend that led to Jack's house, we checked to see if the Sasquatch was still there. It was gone, and the backpack was nowhere in sight either. We then learned that Jack hadn't eaten all of his lunch that day, and if I remember correctly, he still had half of a roast beef sandwich in there. That must have been what the Sasquatch was after. I guess it could have been because the sounds of our own footsteps were so noisy, but not one of us heard the thing run back into the woods. I mean, it had to come out of the woods in the first place, right? I know some people believe that these creatures are ghosts, but if that were the case, why would it have been so interested in the contents of Jack's backpack? I'm no paranormal investigator, but that seems like something only a physical animal would do. Why would a ghost be interested in food? Of course, the three of us went into Jack's house, and Kyle and I listened as Jack told his mom all about what had just happened. I remember her eyeing us as though she were waiting for us to crack and reveal that we were all trying to fool her. We continued to insist that the story was legitimate, and she eventually asked us to go home so that Jack could get started on his homework. I don't think she ever believed the story. The word got around at school over the next week or two, and I remember it quickly evolved into an even crazier false story. It must have been because everyone noticed how much attention it was getting that other kids started spreading rumors about their own encounters with Sasquatches. Let me tell you, the majority of those claims were so ridiculous that it ended up impacting the credibility of our own story, which really did happen. I still haven't seen another Sasquatch since that day, and I still can't believe how close that creature got to town. It wasn't the most urban street or anything, but it still contained rows of houses. Numerous people, aside from us, could have easily spotted the thing. It's that incident that makes me question what kind of risks some of these creatures are willing to take.